Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you thought you knew about yourself was an illusion, that the identity you carry, the values, beliefs, and even emotions that define you, was shaped by forces outside of your control. What if you are not who you think you are? What if the real you, the one buried beneath years of social conditioning and self-deception, is something entirely different? Today, we are going to take a journey into the depths of the human psyche, guided by the revolutionary insights of Friedrich Nietzsche and the forbidden truths of psychology. By the end of this exploration, you will have uncovered shocking insights about your own mind, insights that society would rather you ignore. And the final revelation is the most powerful of all. Most people go through life trapped in a carefully crafted illusion. From childhood, we are told who we should be. We learn to behave in ways that earn approval and suppress the parts of ourselves that might provoke rejection. We mold ourselves to fit into our families, schools, and workplaces, believing that this is simply the way life is. But Nietzsche warned us that this kind of existence is not truly living. It is merely a form of unconscious repetition, where people follow inherited values and behaviors without ever questioning them. Are you truly in control of your life, or are you simply playing a role that was assigned to you? Nietzsche's philosophy invites us to strip away these illusions and face the terrifying, liberating truth of who we really are. He spoke of the Übermensch, the higher self that emerges only when we have the courage to destroy false identities and create our own meaning. But this transformation is not easy. It requires an intense confrontation with the parts of ourselves that we have long ignored or denied. Consider the idea of the shadow, a concept later developed by Carl Jung, but deeply rooted in Nietzsche's thinking. The shadow represents everything within us that we refuse to acknowledge. Our suppressed desires, hidden fears, and unspoken thoughts. These are the parts of ourselves that we deem unacceptable, that we lock away in the unconscious so that we can function in society. But here's the dangerous part. Ignoring the shadow does not make it disappear. It only makes it stronger. Have you ever found yourself saying or doing something completely out of character, something that even shocks you? Have you ever lashed out in anger, felt an irrational impulse, or been drawn to something you know is destructive? That is your shadow revealing itself. It is the part of you that refuses to be ignored, the part that will erupt in unexpected ways if you do not acknowledge and integrate it. Nietzsche understood this long before modern psychology. He warned that those who refuse to confront their own darkness are doomed to be controlled by it. The person who denies their inner chaos will eventually become its victim. Think about the people who try to be excessively good, those who suppress their own desires, avoid conflict, and always seek approval. They are the ones who at some point explode with rage or fall into deep despair. The more we suppress our darker nature, the more it festers beneath the surface, waiting for the moment to break free. Society tells us to reject our inner chaos. We are taught to be polite, to conform, to suppress our aggression, ambition, and primal instincts. But Nietzsche argued that these instincts are not inherently evil. In fact, they are part of what makes us powerful. The danger is not in their existence, but in our refusal to acknowledge them. When we deny our true nature, we create a split within ourselves. We present one version of ourselves to the world while secretly battling another version within. This internal conflict drains us, leading to anxiety, dissatisfaction, and even self-destruction. So what is the way forward? Nietzsche's answer was radical self-awareness. To become who we truly are, we must be willing to look into the abyss of our own minds without fear. We must be willing to question everything we have been taught about right and wrong, about success and failure, about ourselves and the world. But be warned, this path is not for the weak. It demands courage, the kind of courage that few possess. Those who walk this path will experience discomfort, uncertainty, and even moments of existential crisis. But those who endure will emerge transformed. As we continue this journey, we will uncover 3 powerful principles that will forever change the way you see yourself. The last one is the most shocking of all, and once you grasp it, you will never see the world the same way again. Most people are terrified of the truth. Not the truth about the world, but the truth about themselves. They spend their lives crafting a carefully controlled identity, filtering their thoughts and behaviors to fit into a version of reality that feels safe. But Nietzsche warned us, man is something that shall be overcome. The person you believe yourself to be is not your final form. It is a fragile construction, one that must be broken if you wish to discover the depths of who you truly are. But here is where the fear sets in. To destroy false identity means to step into the unknown. It means stripping away every comforting illusion, every borrowed belief, and standing alone in the vast, unsettling void of your own consciousness. And this is precisely why most people never do it. They choose comfort over truth, routine over transformation. They turn away from the abyss out of fear that they will lose themselves. But what if losing yourself is the only way to finally find yourself? Consider the role of suffering in self-discovery. Nietzsche saw suffering not as something to be avoided, but as a necessary force for transformation. He wrote, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering." The discomfort you feel when questioning your identity, when confronting painful truths about yourself, is not a sign that you are lost. It is a sign that you are awakening. But most people do not want to awaken. They prefer to remain in the dream, wrapped in the comfort of social validation and familiar habits. They would rather be controlled by external forces than take responsibility for creating their own identity. This is what Nietzsche called the herd mentality, a life dictated by fear, by submission to societal expectations, by an unwillingness to think beyond what is safe and familiar. The true individual, the one who seeks real self-knowledge, must be willing to detach from the herd. This does not mean rejecting society entirely, but rather refusing to let it dictate the course of your life. It means stepping outside the roles you have been assigned, son, daughter, friend, employee, citizen, and asking yourself, who am I beyond all of this? Most people never ask this question. They move through life as if following a script written by someone else, never realizing that they have the power to rewrite it. They believe they are free, but in reality, they are trapped by invisible chains of expectation, fear, and conformity. And here lies one of the most dangerous illusions of all, the belief that you already know yourself. If you were to strip away your name, your job, your nationality, and every external label, what would be left? Can you truly define yourself without relying on the structures that society has placed around you? Or would you find that beneath it all, you're just a collection of habits, fears, and borrowed ideas? Nietzsche's philosophy forces us to confront this unsettling reality. He challenges us to become more than the sum of our conditioning, to break free from the shallow self-image we have constructed and forge something new, something authentic. But there is a cost to this kind of transformation. When you begin to question yourself at this level, you will experience resistance, not just from the world around you, but from within. Your mind will fight against the process, clinging to old identities out of fear of the unknown. You may feel lost, as if you are standing on the edge of an abyss, staring into something vast and unknowable, but Nietzsche urges us to not look away. Instead, he tells us that we must become strong enough to face the abyss head-on, to let it shape us rather than destroy us. This is the path of the Übermensch, the one who transcends ordinary existence, who does not merely accept the truths handed down by others, but instead creates their own meaning. It is a path of struggle, but also of immense power. Because once you realize that you are the one shaping your reality, you become unstoppable. But how do we do this? How do we take control of our own evolution instead of being passively shaped by the forces around us? The key lies in 3 psychological principles, 3 insights so powerful that they can completely reshape the way you see yourself. And the last one is the most dangerous of all, because once you understand it, there is no turning back. The first principle of radical self-discovery is the acceptance of internal conflict. Most people believe that they should be at peace with themselves, that inner harmony is the ultimate goal. But Nietzsche saw things differently. He understood that within every human being there is a battle, a struggle between what we are and what we have been conditioned to be. Think about it. How many times have you felt pulled in 2 directions? One part of you wants to break free, to explore, to take risks. But another part clings to comfort, to routine, to the safety of the familiar. This inner conflict is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of life. It is the tension between who you have been and who you have the potential to become. Nietzsche believed that great individuals are not those who eliminate this conflict, but those who embrace it, who channel it into growth rather than allowing it to paralyze them. He wrote, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." The person who seeks complete inner peace is often the person who is running from themselves, trying to silence the very forces that could lead to their transformation. So the first step is not to seek harmony, but to accept the war within. To understand that the self is not a single fixed identity, but a battlefield of competing desires, fears, and instincts. Your task is not to suppress this battle, but to direct it, to use it as fuel for your evolution. But this leads us to the second principle, the necessity of destruction. Most people fear change because it requires destruction. They cling to outdated identities, toxic relationships, or unfulfilling careers, not because these things bring them joy, but because they are afraid of what will happen if they let go. They mistake comfort for happiness, security for meaning. But Nietzsche was clear. To become something greater, you must be willing to destroy who you were. You must be willing to shatter the self-image that has been handed to you, to tear down the illusions that have kept you trapped. This is why he spoke of the Übermensch, not as a final form, but as a process of constant becoming, of endless self-overcoming. Imagine a sculptor faced with a block of marble. If he fears destruction, he will never create anything. But if he has the courage to chip away, to break and reshape, he can reveal something magnificent. Your identity is that block of marble. And the question is, are you willing to destroy parts of yourself to reveal what lies beneath? This is where the pain comes in. Because destruction is painful. Letting go of who you used to be means stepping into uncertainty. It means embracing the unknown, facing the fact that you do not yet fully understand who you are or who you are becoming. And this is where most people stop. They feel the fear, the discomfort, the loss, and they retreat. They return to old habits, old beliefs, old patterns, because even an unsatisfying life can feel safer than an uncertain one. But those who push forward, those who dare to keep going, experience something remarkable: transformation. Which brings us to the third and most dangerous principle of all. The principle that, once understood, will change everything. This is the principle that society does not want you to know, because it threatens everything that keeps people obedient and predictable. The third and most dangerous principle is this: you are not a fixed being. You are a creator of meaning. Most people believe that meaning is something to be discovered, that life has an inherent purpose waiting to be found. This is the illusion that keeps people trapped. They spend their lives searching, looking to religion, to culture, to tradition, hoping that something outside of themselves will provide them with the answers they crave. But Nietzsche shattered this illusion. He declared, God is dead, not as a simple rejection of religion, but as a statement that the old sources of meaning, the external systems that once guided humanity, no longer hold the same power. The comfort of absolute truths has collapsed, and in its place, a terrifying realization emerges. Meaning is not given to you. It is something you must create. And this is what makes this principle so dangerous. Because the moment you understand that nothing has meaning except the meaning you give it, you become free. Free from the expectations that have been imposed on you. Free from the limitations that have been programmed into your mind. Free from the need for external validation. But with this freedom comes responsibility. If there is no predefined purpose to your life, then you alone must take ownership of what your existence becomes. There is no cosmic script, no destiny written for you. You must write it yourself. This is why Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch, not as an ideal to be reached, but as a process of continuous self-overcoming. The Übermensch does not wait for meaning to be handed down from above. He creates his own values. He forges his own path. He is not controlled by guilt, by fear, by the opinions of others. He is driven by his own will, his own power, his own vision of what life should be. But this path is not for everyone. Most people would rather cling to false security than face the vastness of their own freedom. They would rather believe that their purpose is given to them than accept the burden of creating it themselves. So the question is, which path will you choose? Will you remain in the comfort of illusions, allowing the world to define who you are? Or will you step into the unknown, embracing the chaos within you and using it to forge something greater? This is not an easy journey. It is a path filled with uncertainty, struggle, and moments of deep doubt. But it is also the only path that leads to true power, to true self-discovery. And in the end, Nietzsche's warning remains. If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. To truly face yourself, to confront everything you have suppressed, everything you have feared, is to step into the abyss. And once you do, you will never be the same again. The choice is yours. Are you ready? Thanks for looking.